As I stood in the middle of the crowded hall, I felt the weight of 100 eyes on me. I had never been so aware of the people around me. The sound of conversation, the clinking of glasses, the laughter. Everything seemed so distant, like I was in a dream. But in that moment, it didn't matter. Nothing mattered except her. She stood across the room, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. She was laughing softly, enjoying the moment with someone else, blissfully, oblivious to the fact that in just a few seconds everything was going to change. I wasn't supposed to say it. Not here, not now, not like this. But the words had been building inside me for so long that they had become too heavy to carry. The truth was, I had been keeping my feelings hidden for so long, convincing myself that silence was safer than honesty. I had convinced myself that pretending everything was fine was the better option, even though I knew deep down that it wasn't. I was afraid of losing her. But now, standing there in the middle of the room, surrounded by strangers and friends alike, I knew that I couldn't keep it inside any longer. I couldn't pretend anymore. I had to let her know. I had to let everyone know. I had spent so many days and nights questioning myself, asking if I was making the right decision, if I was ready to let her in on my secret. But the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. I didn't just want to be near her anymore. I didn't want to hide behind small gestures or pretend that everything was okay. I wanted her to know how I felt, and I wanted the world to know too. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, my legs feeling heavy as if they were made of lead. The noise around me faded, the voices blending into a distant hum. My heartbeat was the only sound I could hear, thumping loudly in my chest, so loud that it almost drowned out everything else. Someone called my name, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. I was too far gone now. She turned, sensing the shift in the air, her smile fading, her expression softening, unsure of what was happening. And then, before I could second-guess myself, I said it, loud enough for everyone to hear, loud enough that there was no taking it back. I love you. Gasps rippled through the room. Whispers floated in the air like smoke as people processed what had just happened. But none of that mattered. All I cared about was her. I was standing there, vulnerable, my heart exposed for everyone to see, but I didn't care about the reactions around me. The only thing that mattered now was her. The room fell into a heavy silence. It wasn't the kind of silence I had expected. I had imagined gasps, laughter, maybe even people rushing to congratulate me. But this was different. The silence felt heavy, thick with tension, as if time had come to a standstill. I waited. I waited for her to say something. Anything. She stared at me, eyes wide, her lips slightly parted. She didn't speak, didn't move. She was frozen in place, as if she wasn't sure if she had heard me right. It was the first time I had ever seen her speechless, and it terrified me. I stood there, my hands clenched into fists at my sides, my heart racing, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts. I had done it. I had thrown my heart out there, exposed and vulnerable, and now I was waiting for her to either break me or make me whole. Finally, she took a slow breath. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the war between what she felt and what she was afraid of. She looked at me, and in a whisper, she asked the question that I didn't know how to answer. Why did you do this now? The words hit me like a punch to the gut. It wasn't a rejection, but it wasn't an answer I was hoping for either. She didn't say, I love you too, or, this is a mistake. She just asked why. I could feel the lump in my throat, and I knew deep down that I had the answer. It wasn't just about love. It was about fear. I had been holding back for so long, convincing myself that waiting was the right thing to do. But safe had never been enough. Not with her. I had waited long enough, and now I had to speak the truth, even if it came out all wrong. I opened my mouth to explain, but she wasn't finished. You think love is about grand gestures, she said softly, her voice full of uncertainty. But love is knowing when to wait. Her words cut through me like a blade. She wasn't rejecting me. She wasn't angry. But she was telling me that I had done it all wrong. I had rushed it. I had put her in a position where she had to choose, not just between me and her, but between what she felt and what was expected of her. I had expected a moment of celebration, a sigh of relief, maybe even the warmth of her arms around me. But instead, I was standing there facing the harsh truth. I had made this all about me. I had rushed something that wasn't mine to rush. She nodded, her gaze softening slightly, but the sadness in her eyes remained. "I know," she said softly. "But that doesn't change what happened." I nodded, my chest tightening. I had rushed her, taken away her choice, and now I had to live with the consequences. She had asked for space, and for the first time I understood why. I had done everything wrong, but I wasn't sure how to fix it. "I'll wait," I whispered. Her eyes searched mine for a moment, and then she gave a small sad smile. "I hope you mean that." And then before I could say anything else, she turned and walked away. I watched her go, my heart sinking with each step she took. I had declared my love for her in front of everyone, but now I was standing there, feeling more alone than ever. The crowd had dispersed, and I was left standing in the middle of the hall, frozen in place. I had done everything wrong, and now, the only thing that mattered was whether she would ever come back to me. Days passed. She didn't call, didn't text. I told myself to give her space just like she had asked, but each hour that passed without hearing from her felt like proof that I had lost her, that my impatience had ruined what could have been something real. Then, one evening, as I had almost convinced myself that it was over, my phone buzzed. Her name flashed across the screen. My pulse raced as I stared at it, unsure of what was about to happen. Would she be angry? Would she be distant? Would this be the end? I picked up the phone, and her voice came through the speaker, soft and cautious. "Hey." For a second, there was nothing but silence. Then, she spoke again. I wasn't sure if I was going to call. I closed my eyes, my heart pounding, in my chest. I had been waiting for this moment, waiting for a sign, and now, here it was. But it wasn't the answer I had hoped for. "I don't know yet," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The uncertainty in her voice hit me harder than any rejection could. I had waited for this moment, but now I realized that the answer wasn't as clear-cut as I had hoped. She wasn't ready. She needed more time. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my emotions in check. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm still trying to figure out if we're meant for this," she said quietly. I let out a slow breath, feeling the weight of her words. She wasn't saying yes. She wasn't saying no. She was caught somewhere in between. And I knew that it was my fault. I had rushed her, forced her into a decision before she was ready, and now I had to live with the consequences. "I don't want to pressure you," I said softly. "That's not what love is supposed to be." She sighed. "Then why did you do it like that?" she asked. "Why did you say it in front of all those people?" I closed my eyes, guilt settling deeper in my chest. "Because I was scared," I admitted, the truth finally coming out. Scared that if I waited too long, I'd lose my chance. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then, in a voice full of quiet sadness, she murmured, "And now you're afraid you lost me anyway." I swallowed hard, my heart aching. Did I lose her? She didn't answer right away, and the silence between us felt like it stretched on forever. And then, she whispered the one thing I had been waiting to hear, but it wasn't the answer I had hoped for. "I don't know yet." I closed my eyes, holding back the tears that threatened to spill. She hadn't given up on me, but she hadn't chosen me yet either. She still needed time, and this time I had to let her set the pace. Love wasn't about rushing someone to catch up to you. It was about waiting for them to choose you. And for the first time, I understood that. I had to give her the space to figure things out on her own, without any pressure, without any grand gestures. And so, I waited. And then, before I could say anything else, she turned and walked away. I watched her go, my heart sinking with each step she took. I had declared my love for her in front of everyone, but now I was standing there, feeling more alone than ever. The crowd had dispersed, and I was left standing in the middle of the hall, frozen in place. I had done everything wrong, and now, the only thing that mattered was whether she would ever come back to me. Days passed. She didn't call, didn't text. I told myself to give her space just like she had asked. But each hour that passed without hearing from her felt like proof that I had lost her, that my impatience had ruined what could have been, something real. Then one evening, as I had almost convinced myself that it was over, my phone buzzed. Her name flashed across the screen. My pulse raced as I stared at it, unsure of what was about to happen. Would she be angry? Would she be distant? Would this be the end? I picked up the phone and her voice came through the speaker, soft and cautious. "Hey." For a second, there was nothing but silence. Then she spoke again. I wasn't sure if I was going to call. I closed my eyes,